Hello and welcome back to Pandemic Playground with Dave. So today we have context number 2 for building a mountain base. So let's get started. Alright, so lots gone on here since the last context video, which was the first one. And now we bring you the second one after doing 3 time-lapse videos. And it's been a while since we did this series, but because I have this little cough, it's a little hard to record a very long session without having to cut out all the coughing. So I'm gonna do a bit of a short video today and talk about what we've done so far with the mountain base. Alright, so outside of the base, this is our generic base that we built early on. And you'll see here, if you recall, we had the whole bedroom and everything like that. Well, the bed used to be here. I'm not sure what happened to that. That just disappeared somehow, which is kind of weird. But anyways, it used to be a bed there. And then on the outside is where we had the rover connection, which is this thing here. And from the last context video, or after the first 3 time-lapse videos, we added a whole bunch more of large cargo containers. And the only reason for that is because we were collecting a whole bunch of stone, and I think we're out of the stone now, but that net us a whole bunch of iron, so we should have large amounts of iron, 231k worth and more. Yeah, a ton more. And that was refined mostly because of the stone that we were gathering with the drill system that we had inside the tunnel there. Other than that, we added another refinery on top of the refinery, added some speed mods to get things move quickly. Our assembler, we didn't have speed mods on them. We should have added it, but yeah, this is basically everything that was done on the outside piece other than the hatch door. Alright, so there's a few things here on the outside that I do regret doing, and it's dropping certain things on the floor and the voxels and making these little pits. So eventually I think I'm going to use the voxel hand and try to fix it and make it flat. And same over here. There was a bit of a crash here, so we gotta get that fixed up as well. Another piece is that the way we drilled out the tunnel in the mountain, bit of a ramp section over here. And when I'm inside the rover, like this rover, which is pretty heavy with all the stuff in the large cargo container, and when we bring it down, it's a bit of a drop right there, right? So that's a little bit of a worrying side. We could find a way to fix it somehow or one way or another, but this is a fairly angled ramp right here. So that's the thing about this thing here. So the other interesting piece here is when we climb up into the ramp, it's quite the climb. So as you see here, it ramps up a bit and we should be able to make it like that. But yeah, that's a bit of a problem, but so far so good. It's not that bad. And of course, the next piece that we added is going to be the hatch door right here. And the hatch door, we did a little bit of coloration to it, a little different designing as well. So it's got that dark, dusty look to it, and has the spotlights and everything for lighting, and some windows for lighting in the inside of the tunnel, which you will be able to see a little bit of lighting from there because the sun does shine right over here and it blows it right inside in a way, or shines the inside basically a little bit. Otherwise, it's gonna be the darkest tunnel you ever see. But yeah, other than that, we did put buttons initially for the hatch door, but of course we got rid of that because we thrown in a sensor instead. So the sensor, let's just show the field range right here. It's this big old box range from that line right there, kind of that black and yellow strip right there. That's kind of showing where that line is for the sensor, and it goes back all the way. It's probably back up to here. I'll show you in the inside, but that's what's activating the hatch door to open. So we go right into the sensor, and the sensor is telling it to open up. So when there's something in the sensor, a person, a small vehicle, a large vehicle, whatever the case is, it's gonna tell these hinges to reverse, so it goes up and open. The moment I get out of the sensor, a timing block actually triggers after about 5 seconds to reverse the hinge again, and that's how it closes. So how that works is basically in the sensor's action setup or setup actions right here. You see hinge door, this is on reverse, and then it hits the timer block, and the timer block action is 5 seconds, and it's telling the hinge door to reverse in that sense. So that was a simple, easy way to keep the door open and closed by having, you know, somebody just running into this sensor piece here. And it runs along the inside up to right here, the first kind of pillar section right here, as you see in that section there. So that's pretty much the hatch door and the sensor. So let's just turn off the sensor field and talk about what I did with this hatch door. So the idea of the hatch door is it's a similar thing to the experiment that I've had played around with the hinge hatch doors. And I was hoping to actually merge block these or rotor head with rotor attachment, kind of lock the door in that sense to make it airtight and everything like that. But that didn't work out well. So I didn't even test it beforehand, but I started with the piston, hinge, and hatch door method, and then try to use a merge block to merge it and close it up so that it doesn't lock anywhere else. It's just all kind of connected by the sides. So like if I open it up like this, you see nothing really, or before nothing was really touching. So like these blocks weren't here or anything like that too. So what would have happened was that it would have actually properly shut down, locked in, merged, and no air would have leaked. But the biggest problem is that I think we put too many voxels in the ground, so the whole thing is now a station. So we can't convert it to a ship. So it's not gonna move, it's not gonna do anything. So it's definitely a station, and when it's a station, it's pretty much impossible to create a airlock hatch door with this method, with the merge block, because it's not going to merge. And if it does merge by detaching the hinges, the hatch door itself is going to be converted into a station as well. So you won't be able to open it unless you tell the door, separate door, this door, the hatch piece, to be a ship before you hit unmerge and move the hinge and attach the hinges and get that open. That's more of a pain and a hassle, so I'm gonna keep it not airtight. And it should be fine. Why? Because we are on a oxygen-rich planet anyway, so why do you even need it airtight to begin with, right? So that's another thing. But yeah, the hatch door is as simple as that. It's just a couple blocks, windows, spotlight, little light panels on the outside, and a bit of a design here with the columns. We definitely do not need the pistons and the hinge together in this method because we're not merging it, we're not attaching to anything as well. So that is a bit of the interesting piece to the door. But it works out pretty well, and the sensor works out really well, so it opens and closes whenever I needed to do it automatically. So another thing, a little thing I did also on the rover itself was add the build and repair 2 blocks worth in the back. So it can help speed up the process of building the steel plates or steel blocks or light armor blocks on the ground for the tunnel. And for the most part, the last few videos was just drilling a very, very deep tunnel system for this mountain base. And we added a little bit of design to it with these beam blocks right here. And they go all the way down as far as we can. So this became a really, really long tunnel. As you can see here, I added some spotlights for some lighting purposes. But on the ground, on towards my right-hand side, right here is the conveyor junctions. So it connects all the way to the front over there. So we can have the build and repairs constantly running and building new ones as we go. So it could weld up all the blocks that are, you know, kind of being created. So initially, if you recall, in the time lapse, I was doing most of these by hand at first. So I was building the blocks itself and placing them straight down, one by one in a sense, right? And having build and repair kind of weld it all up. But eventually I got a little smarter and decided to put a projector down and project basically a bit of a tunnel. So it's gonna be this thing right here. So it's like a good decent tunnel, like I think it's about this long or so. So we project it, and then the build and repair is gonna automatically weld it up, and then we could just easily build out the tunnel as long as possible and as long as we want in that sense. The only issue is that I totally forgot about the design piece. So now I gotta count the beam blocks basically up to about 11th block and put them down. So I got probably see like 3 or 4 layers of that right now. But I think eventually I'm just gonna cut out some of the tunnel, save it, and project it that way so I don't have to build out the beam blocks again on each part of the wall. Because I am planning to go way deeper than it is now. And it's already pretty deep. But I'll show you exactly why we're going to go deeper in a second. But let's talk about the current piston style drill system to make the tunnel deeper. So right now, since we got so much iron, so much stone before, I forgo connecting the drill system to collect stone. Although we can still do it by easily connecting a conveyor junction right here to here, and it's just gonna connect easily because it's merged in right now, right? So we can always still collect it, but we had so much that I decided not to collect anymore. I think because if we find everything, we should have more space now. Yes and no. Yeah, we do. So we could continue to get a lot more stone if we really need to. If we run out of ingots, iron ingots, and nickel, silicon, and everything else. So this drill system is much more simpler than the large ones I was building, only because I did put a helm here, and I am right now right-click drilling to make this hole, because it just makes a straighter hole and a straighter dig than when it's actually collecting stone. Because when they collect stone, the drills get way too heavy, and sometimes the system gets clogged up. So all the stone is in the drill itself, and it just weighs it down significantly. And then it started to make a bit of a slight dip going down this way diagonally. So it was just acting quite weird. So instead of doing that, I'm going to go with this fairly simple drill system where I can just keep merge blocking it and extend it further out. So right now, if I did need to get stone for more materials, I can left click drill and drill out exactly this amount of space. I might have to put one where the spotlight is, or get rid of the spotlights just to collect some more stone if I want to. But if we don't need to, I'm just going to continue to right click drill so it makes this decent hole for the tunnel, which is not even that like tall. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks tall, and I think we had about 14 width here. It's not that wide, but it's good enough for what I need it to be right this moment. And it's just a long tunnel. That's what this is. And then we're going to have to drill out the compartments on the sides here. And of course, we can make that bigger for specific rooms. But yeah, this is a very simple drill system, right? So it is on shared inertia for these pistons, right? And of course, when it's way down, it dips down. But now we're not gonna run to that because we have very little drills, not as much as before, and we're not really collecting anything. So how this whole thing really works is almost like an inchworm technique, but it's a little bit more manual. I could do it with some projectors and everything like that to make it kind of inchworm automatically, but I don't want to do it automatically because I want to control it in terms of how long we go, how quickly we go, what if I forget about it, you know, those kind of things, right? So we're just gonna keep it manual, and it looks pretty decent on a time lapse when we do it manually as well. But basically, what I'm doing here is having it extend out as far as possible, and then we add the blocks here, and with the blocks being there, we can add a merge block. And once we add a merge block here, and it gets welded up, basically what would happen is it's gonna eventually merge together. Initially, it won't, as you see here. It's white and white. It's gonna turn yellow and green sometime soon, I would hope. So it's funny, sometimes it works quickly and sometimes it works slowly. It should, there you go. I just bumped it a little bit, I guess. I don't know. But now it's merged in, the piston. And then if I want to extend it, what I'm doing basically is get rid of this one, or turn it off, let's just say. We turn that off, let the piston do what it needs to do, and then we reverse the piston here. So we let it reverse as far as we can, and then what happens is we're going to put another merge block basically right underneath the existing merge block. And then that way it's going to merge into that one. We get rid of this one and turn it off, and then we can extend it further forward in that sense. So that's how this drill system is working. It's simple enough to the point where we just gotta extend, retract, put some merge blocks, and go from there basically. So we could put the merge block right over here. You see it's not really lined up, but once it's merged in, it's gonna be, once we put it there and it's welded, it's gonna merge in eventually. It doesn't do it quickly for some reason, but all right, that one worked a lot faster than the one before. But now we can turn this guy off. It's gonna bounce around just a tiny bit, but it's okay. And then from here, what we're gonna do is right click drill, and if you don't like holding right click, you can just hit your inventory, let go of right click, hit escape, and it's now on right click drill without you actually touching anything. And then from here we can extend the piston, and that is pretty much the current drill system as it is, and it works out pretty well. And you're not going to be able to see too much at the moment, but it is drilling it out. But if I move and get out the helm, unfortunately it's not going to right click drill anymore, so that's why I got to sit here in this seat until all that is done, or at least when all the piston is extended fully. The thrusters, as you see there, it does help it a little bit. I don't think it doesn't help it significantly, but it helps pick it up if it does, for whatever reason, gets too full or it's heavy. Right now, we're right-click drilling. It's not heavy. It's actually pointless, but I leave it there just for the sake of it, in case it did need it. But right now, it's just causing a little bit of this aesthetics of smoke, basically. But it is pointless at this point in junction. Alright, so I'm going to get out of it, so it's not going to drill anymore. I should probably turn the thrusters off, only because it's going to waste a lot of batteries. So let's just pick those up really quick and put it on the toolbar. I think I'm going to turn it on only if I left click drill and collect stone and things like that. But yeah, actually I should have left it extended, so that I can merge block in the next block when I'm ready for it. But yeah, that's pretty much the drill system in its full effect. It's almost like an inchworm technique, but it's still manual. And I left the manual on purpose because I prefer to have more control over it currently. So why am I digging so deep and making this tunnel so long? Well, the main reason is this. If you look at the mountain side here, or on the outside, the mountain curves, ramps up a bit, and then it goes straight up a bit more. So I wanted to dig as deep as I can, so if we were to dig up at any point in time, we won't come out of the mountain on the rampy side, or the edge side, or slight ramp side. I want it to come up from the very top, right over like here or something like that, right? So I didn't want it to come out peeking out over here if I built all the way up for whatever reason. Let's just say maybe we create a hatch door on top of the mountain so we can release a flying vehicle. You know, those are the reasons why I'm trying to build a tunnel as far in as possible. If we could get as far as like the middle of the mountain, that would be great, but I highly doubt that's going to happen. But if we could get it like right around here, that would be ideal too. And I think we're almost there. Like if I'm going straight down and look at the current tunnel that I have here, It looks like I'm very close to getting there. So once I hit this marker right where I am right now, I could probably mark with a GPS eventually. So that's probably as far as I want to go in terms of making the drill or making a tunnel before we decide to drill up, sideways, and everything like that as well, to make the compartments and different stations and such. But yeah, if we get up to right around here, actually, that might not even be deep enough. So we come out from like outside of the mountain. I gotta figure out that whole logistics, but that's the main reason why I'm drilling so deep into the tunnel in that sense. And then the next pieces to do is basically drill out some more compartments on the right side, left side, and we don't have to do, you know, boxes through this way or rectangles this way and a rectangle right here and leave the voxels in the middle. We don't need that. We could just do a whole big drill out straight through and not leave any voxels in between, and that's going to be the idea. Why we're doing that is because we're going to have light armor blocks or blocks separating the walls anyways, right? And that way it'll make it easier to plumb up the station and everything like that too. If we left the voxels in between, like a cave style or tunnel system, that might get in the way of building different walls and plumbing. So what I'm gonna do is just basically drill out the whole entire section, and then that way we have different stations. So we're gonna have, of course, different stations such as refinery station, power station, the kind of living area, garage, everything we can think of. And if we need materials, we can drill downwards, or, you know, I think I'm going to collect the stone when we're going to drill the compartments out on the left and right. And we can make it taller, we can make it wider, we can do whatever we can with the drilling system on here. But we're going to try our best to stick with the drilling at this level here. So hopefully everything looks great and works out great by keeping it stable with the current tunnel, and kind of see how that goes. In some ways, I kind of want to see if I can tunnel all the way out to the other side. That is really, really far away, but it'll be awesome if you have two entries, one from the back side, one from the front side. So that's a possibility of something I want to do with this tunnel drilling in that sense. But eventually, yes, we are going to make the compartments for the mountain base. We're going to make it left and right of the tunnel. We're going to make it up as well. We have space pretty much everywhere, but we'll see how it all turns out eventually. So there is still a lot of tunnel drilling to go, but I think that's what makes it pretty interesting when we're going through the time lapse. But of course, we are still going to build out more stations and everything inside, so that should look pretty decent in terms of a time lapse as well. And of course, if you guys have any suggestions, please leave a comment down below. You know, I read them, respond to them in any case, which I really appreciate all the feedback you guys given so far. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, you guys know what to do. Hit that thumbs up, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and of course, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.